Welcome, scumbags, one and all, to I Rebel. We're at the mid-season finale.
It's over.
That's it. It's kind of over. We're in a period of mourning, both literally and figuratively, because it's morning outside. So, James, you saw Rebel Assault this morning.
I watched it first thing I woke up at 8 a.m. Usually I watch it at 11 a.m. if you could tell from last week's episode when I sent you my text.
That's right.
At 11 a.m. Yeah, I watched it first. When did you watch it?
I watched it last night at around 11
p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did. It was good in a way I wasn't expecting, because when you hear a title like Rebel Assault, when you hear that this is the big battle of Loth-Wolf that we've been building up to, I did not expect a quiet episode, but what we got was a quiet in a good way. But it was a very quiet sort of fight. It was very low key. There was the space battle at the beginning, which was cool.
It was actually, that was a cool space battle. Actually.
It was long too. Like they stretched it out, and we finally got. Remember, I told you we're gonna get Volt Scaris in a dogfight with Harrison Dula. And what happened? Tell them what happened. Tell them what we got.
We got Thrawn.
I was hoping you would back me up and say we got Volt Scaris in a dogfight.
We got your dogfight. Yeah, we got your dogfight. This camera is very crooked. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not changing it.
It's all Dutch today. But no, we got a good dogfight out of it. Actually, it was short, but it was good.
It kind of showed how ruthless Thrawn can be, and how talented Hera is. Actually, I want to bring this up side Akbar on this one. Last week, Brock and I did top 5 Rebels characters on the podcast, and my top 5 did not include Hera. Don't look at me. And now when I finished this episode, I said, okay, she's worked her way into the. She's beat out AP5. AP5 was my number 5.
That's right.
But before we get into anything, she would be your number 1? I'm guessing.
Number 2.
Who's number 1?
Sabine.
Wait. Oh yeah, that's right. You flip flop.
I flip flop.
You flip flop like a politician on election day.
Hera stole my heart, but Sabine broke it and then stole it because of what we saw her go through last season. Right. So she Hera was just like, oh man, you're really cool. I look up to you. You're a hero. You're great. But Sabine was all that plus like, oh my God, you poor girl. Like, I hope everything works out for you because you're not in a good situation.
This episode for me was kind of, I guess, Sabine's last season for Hera. Like, it showed she is a great pilot. The Imperials have respect for her as a pilot. They know she's the best pilot. But we got to see her outmaneuver everyone. And the one thing, and I mentioned to you this to you on the phone as my head gets cut off because of the Tulsa camera. I mentioned to you this on the phone is I was getting disappointed in Thrawn. How Thrawn is always like, he's being outsmarted, but he's like, I'm not really being outsmarted. I was like, at what point are you just going to come out and say you're being outsmarted? And they did it again at the beginning of this one. But then a massive amount of TIE fighters appeared and shot down every single X-Wing, including Hera's. Yeah. And now she ended up, spoiler, surviving, but Thrawn's plan it worked.
It did. That was I didn't catch her name, that female X-Wing pilot, but her death was frighteningly realistic. Ooh, that looks better. We saw her X-Wing break apart. We saw her look up outside her cockpit and just scream, like the kind of scream where you know that you're screwed.
What was the first guy's name called?
Bruh. Yeah, it was something like that.
Because I wanted to call this episode Goodbye, Bruh.
Goodbye, Bruh.
I remember this. Goodbye, Bruh. But yeah, stormtroopers were getting killed. X-Wing, because when it was started, I was like, oh, are they gonna man up and show X-Wing pilots get killed? And sure enough, then not only did they show one die, they gave him a name before the female one died. They gave him a name and then kill him off. And then the female pilot, they gave her a name and they gave you a glimmer of hope. And then nah. And the scream of that. This is it. I'm done for. Yeah. There was they didn't Nora Wexley around with this fight. Everybody who died. No, we're gonna find out. Just like Sabine's mother and brother, they all just survived. They all landed on a giant trampoline that Lothal has, and they're good to go.
But we finally saw the end of Volt Scaris. He's gone.
Well, again.
Again, yeah.
A giant trampoline.
I was dumb, so this went over my head. But one of our fans pointed out that he's named after Tom Skerritt because his character in Top Gun, like that's who it's based off of.
Oh my god, it's brilliant!
I had no, because I've never seen Top Gun, so that was
what?
Completely, yeah.
New podcast, Maverick and the Iceman.
In that order. So I didn't know that about him, and now I love him even more because he's based off Tom Skerritt, and now he's dead.
Gonzo.
He's gone, but that's exactly how I wanted him to go out, was fighting Hera. Because when you have, and I've mentioned this, I think I talked about this in the one that you weren't in, the Halloween one, because I was a lot more free to speak my mind when I didn't have
right
chains.
now I've got him on a leash.
But I like when you pair up a hero and a villain who have very similar attributes. Like we saw this last week with Zeb fighting that slaver, because they're both the big brutes, right? And the slaver's like this giant Trandoshan. And first he fights Kanan, but it's like, no. He's fighting Zeb because Zeb is the big brute. And then you get these two titans of the same kind of power level to clash and then see what happens. And ever since we met Volscaris, I was like, okay, well, he's an ace pilot. Hera's an ace pilot. They got to fight. And they fought. And it was short, but it was exactly as long as it needed to be. And it proved at the end of the day that, yeah, Hera is a better pilot than not Tom Skerritt.
Maybe. We'll never know for sure.
He was in the Defender.
Yeah.
And that's like cream of the crop in terms of TIE fighters. So
but he still can't abort.
He can't abort. There's no ejector seat on that. But that's not the only fight Hera gets in this episode. This is totally her episode.
Oh yeah.
And we see her smack down with Rook.
Oh, if I didn't know that she survived, I would have, this whole episode I might have been like,
That is exactly, that's like my main note here, is that there was that great moment where she's, what's his name, the pilot dude, hold on.
Little Wedge.
He does look like Wedge.
At first I thought
Mart.
it was Wedge. Yeah, Mart.
She saves Mart, and by the way, that's another ballsy thing they did, was they killed Mart's droid.
R3?
Yeah.
R3? Yeah.
The stormtroopers are just like, nope. So she saves Mart, and they're running around together with Chopper trying to find a way out of the city. And then she has that moment where she's running, and you see like Rook's coming after her, and it doesn't look good. And she's like, Mart, go. Chopper, go. And she like forces him to leave. And you're absolutely right. We have been, like, everybody knows she's not going to die, because like of all the characters, she's the one that we know is not going to die. Her and Chopper. But who cares about Chopper?
Brock cares
about Chopper. So to put her in that situation where it's like, in any other case, we would have been like, she's done for. Like, look at like the way they're setting up these dominoes to fall. Rook's going to kill her. But we knew that wasn't the case. So did that kind of spoil it for you in a way? Like the fun of it?
No. Like I said, had I not known, it would have amped the suspense a little. But I got to go into this now. My focus was on Kanan, because Kanan has a moment. We'll get into this later, I'm guessing, but with Loth-Wolves, and he's like, I know what I have to do. And we every week I've talked about this. When the trailer I said he's going to go early, I'm still wrong, because he's obviously going later. But he's gone. Like he knows. I think his fate has been sealed, and it's sealed in saving Hera's life. And I think he knows that he's going to have to sacrifice himself to save her for the good of the rebellion, because obviously, now we don't exactly know what it is, but I think Hera's got, whether we find out in a cartoon or a book, I don't think it'll be in a movie, but one of those, a video game would be cool, but that'll never happen. I think Hera is going to play a large part in the rebellion. And we don't know, because she's not part of George Lucas's Star Wars. She's part of this new Star Wars. And I think the new Star Wars, and this is fine, they can do whatever they want. We've seen her on Endor, so she at some point goes to Endor. She's, her ship is better than the Millennium Falcon, she wants Han Solo to say. Not that it is, obviously, but they're building to something with Hera, and I think Kanan's death is, that's going to get us there. You're going to need a big sacrifice. He'll sacrifice himself so that she can go on to do what she needs to do for the sake of the galaxy.
Now, I didn't see her Forces of Destiny episode yet, the one on Endor. Is she like bummed out? Is she like, man, I lost the man I love?
No, because the episode also isn't really about her. So this episode, the side akbar, is they're on Endor and the Ewoks are trying to kill and eat stormtroopers, and Leia's like, "Stop it! Don't eat the stormtroopers." And then she goes, "Han," and she doesn't sound like Leia, but Han sounds like Han. She goes, "Han, go get some rations from General Syndulla." So he goes, he's like, "I need rations." She goes, "Well, say your ship, my ship's better than your ship." And he's like, "Fine." He just gets the rations. They go back. Ewoks.
That was a good. That was a good Harrison Ford.
Never happen again.
Everybody play that back. Close your eyes. And Harrison Ford is in the studio.
But that's all that happens in there. Yeah. So even if like there'd be no moment for that anyway. Like it's not about that. It's about rations.
Right.
I mean, you could argue that she was just there to have another character there. But I don't know. I think if you're gonna sacrifice Kanan for her, which I think I don't know what you think on that, but I think that's where they're going down. Have her be something big.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and like we might as well jump to that part because it was a very not short's not the right word, but it was a very like the episode had like 3 key points and that was it. Like it was very focused.
Yeah.
So we can jump right to that whole part where she fights Rook and she gets captured. Arinda Price captures her. And then Kanan has that moment, and I was on the same page as you when he's with the others, and I forget how he finds out that like stuff's going bad. I don't know if Mart tells them. I think Mart comes and tells them, and it's like, yeah, Hera got taken by the Imperials.
I think he just knows.
He sensed it.
Yeah, because he's with the Loth-Wolf. He opens it. They have Hera. I know.
Right. That's right. Yeah. He tells Ezra and Sabine, he's like, okay, go back to, our rendezvous point, whatever. I'm going to go back for her. And they're like, no, we can't go back for her now. We got to leave. You're going to get killed. And he's like, no, trust me. I know how to save her. And like, he says, just go ahead. And Ezra's like, okay, we'll see you back at the base. And as soon as Ezra said, I'll see you back at the base, I was like, that's screenwriting code for I'm never going to see you again.
I thought the same thing, but I also kind of thought maybe they would throw in a "May the Force be with you," and I think if they did that, we'd all be like, "Oh no, I've heard this one before." Don't say old friend. Don't say old friend.
Say old friend. So I was actually again, and I said this last week too, but it goes the same for this week. Where I was afraid. I'm like, okay, this is the mid-season finale. This is a good point to kill him if you want to kill him. He might not make it out of this because I figured the way that it was paced out was that Rook was going to fight Hera, and then Kanan would come interrupt the fight and save her, and then Rook would kill him because there's, like you said, we want Rook getting a kill would be good for him right now. He needs that.
Actually, that was the first thing that came to my head because last week I said Rook's going to kill Kanan off the like just kind of said, and then when Thrawn summoned Rook, I was like, okay, this is it. But to that point, and you said this was a very focused episode, and this was one of the first 20-minute episodes that felt like I wanted more, but it didn't feel like I didn't get enough.
Right.
Like I felt like as much as it was a good, I want more, but you left me satisfied in 20 minutes, which normally the show is like, seriously, can I get another 20 minutes on top of that? This one was exactly. Like, I want another 20 minutes, but not in the same way. I wanted it because this felt satisfying is what I'm saying.
It did. It felt just enough to be like, oh, damn, we got to wait till January. But
if we're that lucky, it might be February.
Oh, God, I hope not. So, yeah, she's kidnapped. We don't know where she's going to end up. But I have a feeling. Let's call it a theory for now.
Uh-oh.
And tell me what you think of this. That
clickbait.
Okay, do you remember in Aftermath, Gallius Rax?
No.
No?
Yeah. Of course I do.
Gallius Rax was, spoilers for the Aftermath trilogy, he was trying to sabotage what was left of the Empire because according to Palpatine's way of thinking, what was left of the Empire was too weak to carry on. So Rax was going under this guise of being somebody who's like, yeah, I'm the new Admiral of the Empire, but I'm going to sabotage my own people because I know what's best, they don't, and they're just going to slow me down. I have a sneaking suspicion that Thrawn is kind of doing something similar to the point where his long game is being played against Palpatine, not for him. all these instances of letting the rebels get away, making it look like it's part of his plan all along, which in a roundabout way it is, but it's more of hobbling this huge power because they could be a threat to the Chiss ascendancy too. And I think that at the end of, when all is said and done with Thrawn, when we look at him, he's going to end his story more as a hero than as a villain. And I think the reason that I feel that could be coming sooner rather than later is because of the book that we're getting, where he's going to be paired up with Vader. When you pair somebody up with Darth Vader, unless that guy's name is Sheev, that other person is always going to be the lesser of two evils. So if we're going to spend a whole book where Thrawn, like, he's not with Eli Vanto anymore, where we're just like looking at this tech engineer who's looking up to this giant admiral who's doing all these crazy things. Now we have a guy who is a very, sophisticated military genius and a mass murdering crazy Sith Lord. Who's going to look like, who out of those two people, who would you rather be sitting on a ship with? So I think they're slowly, sneakily trying to make him look like more the hero, to the point where he will be at the end of everything.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because as I was thinking how weak Thrawn has been, I started to think that, because like the book is coming, Filoni says he outlives Galen Erso, we don't really know what that means. I mean, okay, so he might die a minute later. We have no idea, obviously, but he's going to make it to Rogue One. We know that this season of Rebels itself is not going to make it to Rogue One, I guess. It's going to end just before or something. Yeah. We have no idea. Maybe the very last episode. But Dave Filoni said, we've already seen Scarif. Why do we want to see it again? Points of view, David.
Scarif's a big planet.
But what better way to get Thrawn out of there? And he's still not the good guy.
Right.
He's still not the good guy. He's the smart guy, and he outsmarts everybody, and he still exists out there for future needs and wants. So I think that's the best way to use him. Mm-hmm. And I think he is the one character that can transcend animation now, because he started with a book. But I think the newer fans will know him as this cartoon character. And I think you could put him on film, because I think, the hard part for me when you're like, we're going to make a live action of this is, well, now, when you base a cartoon off of a movie, the cartoon they can make the character look like the actor, and they can make him sound like the actor. But when you go the other way, I'm going to cast you to play Fred Flintstone. Look like him.
It's tricky.
Your voice might, but you might be perfect as him, but I won't be able to see past it. So it's a lot harder. Whereas I think Thrawn, I think he's easier, although his voice is perfect. But I think he's easier to do that.
Bonnie, my pebbles. No, see, I can't do it.
That was like the 90s bad version of Fred Flintstone.
Yeah.
So maybe you're channeling that one, because you're on there. I heard a little bit of Fred. What kind of pebbles? Fruity or cocoa?
Fruity.
I've never had Fruity Pebbles.
No?
I've had Cocoa Pebbles twice in my life.
I think I've had cocoa more than... It's basically Nesquik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to say I like it. I don't like it. But I got it from... I got a big, huge box from Target when Target was in Canada, and I ate it the morning of my bachelor party. My best man was over, and we had 2 giant bowls of Cocoa Pebbles.
Did you start the day by saying, ho, 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 I'm hungry?
I started by saying, this is disgusting. We have to finish it. And we did. And then we played soccer.
That's a hell of a bachelor party.
It was a giant, because it was a big family box.
Mm-hmm.
Like a box. Oh, it was bad. Well, I'm an adult. I mean, kids would love it. Brock would love it too.
Oh yeah, Brock's a cereal man, I think.
No, Brock's a sugar man.
He's a sugar man? Yeah. Okay, so he should get the Force Awakens cereal.
No, he didn't like that.
It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it was like stale Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Well, Lucky Charms might be, I have no idea.
Stale Lucky Charms with like more sugar on top of it.
I got 2 boxes of those, and one with Kylo Ren or Vader, and one with Yoda. And I poured one of them. I cut out the box to keep the thing. Mm-hmm. I poured it. I was like, I want to eat this. And I had a bite, and I said, just dump it.
No.
Dump it and fill it with Cheerios.
It was horrible. I had the BB-8 one. I don't know if they're different, but...
No, it's all the same, just different boxes. But when I got it, I think it was only Yoda and only Vader. I think. And then they started doing Kylo Ren and BB-8. But yeah, it's not... you should have called me.
How dare they try to pimp out Yoda and Vader as if he was in that movie?
No, I don't know if this was... It came out when Force Awakens came out, but I don't know if it was Force. I have to look at the box now. This has been I Rebel.
Cereal talk.
Kanan gonna die?
he has to.
He can still go to Mortis if he dies.
He could still go to Mortis. Just the big question mark, and I know this is kicking a dead horse, and it's super obvious, is the big question mark is those damn wolves. I mean, we end, even the way this episode ended with that like close up panning on the wolf. I'm just like, is he gonna say something? Is he gonna like shapeshift? And then nothing. It just cut.
I think the wolves. You could. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. The whole series has kind of been based around Lothal. They start off on Lothal. So we first meet everyone on Lothal, and then when they go back to Lothal, Kanan says Ezra keeps getting pulled to Lothal, and Hera's like, well, that's where he's from. What if Ezra is being called to Lothal, but not for Ezra, for Kanan? And it's Kanan's greater purpose is on Lothal, and the Force Wolves are there for Kanan to guide Kanan to what needs to be done, which inevitably seems to be his death. Like they're kind of like the spirits that are guiding him through the gates, and he has to follow them. And he's like, I understand. That's why. Okay, we're going, and that's what that's all about.
I love that, and I'm gonna take it another step forward. This is what I think.
Teleport there.
Through a cave of white haze. Here's what I think Dave Filoni is thinking. I think I got it. Exactly what you said. But the whole, the question, what's the deal with the wolf? The whole deal is every planet, or at least every planet that's strong in the Force, but let's say at one point they all were. So let's say every planet has the ability, has like an avatar of itself that it can manifest to speak with people. The Bendu was that for Adelon. The wolves are that for Lothal. Other planets, like something like Coruscant, that planet may not be able to do it anymore because maybe it has been sapped of its natural energy. But places like Dagobah, places like Lothal, can still do it. And the wolves are Lothal itself creating an avatar to interface with people and say, look, here's what has to happen, exactly what you're saying. Doom. There we go. Put it in the bank.
So anyway, we figured out the end of Rebels. This has been I Rebel. This is the series finale of I Rebel. We will not be coming back because and if it's not right, we don't want to admit it, so we're good.
Show over.
Black. Done. I'm looking forward to the second half of this season.
Yeah.
Because something has got to happen with Ezra. Because everyone's storyline, I'm like, if this ended the show, I mean, aside from the Hera thing, but if this ended the show, I would be okay with where everybody is basically, except Ezra has no ending. And that's why I think Kanan is gonna be the first one to have his arc end. Because I feel like, we're like, Zeb's gonna die. Right now where Zeb is, I don't think he needs to, and I don't care. Like it's like we've seen his storylines kind of come and go, and I think if he was gonna go, it would have to been against
Callus.
No, the Trandoshan from last week. Like it would have to be, but that's too small of a.
Yeah, his death right now would affect it the least.
Yeah,
so it's like
it's almost like, unless it's a big gung ho at the end, like we all have to die to save this. I don't see the point in just offing him for the sake of offing. Callus hasn't been around this season.
Where you been at, Callus?
I mean, but again, to the Zeb point, is his story's done. He's now a rebel. Yeah. So there's not really much to do with him. I mean, I'd like to see him do something, but I think it'd be cool if he was Draven from Rogue One. I think if they were the same, they're not, but if they were, then that would have been.
That would be neat.
That would have been really cool. And then Sabine, her story's done, I would say. Yeah. You don't really need more of Sabine. Chopper. Mm-hmm. And that leaves, Kanan's gone, so. And that leaves Ezra. We've seen his beginning. We need to see his end. And I think once the Kanan thing is solved when we come back, which I think it'll be solved very early on. He might not die because it's Rebels. But whatever happens, his story will end pretty much right when we get back, that first episode. Then you have the next 5 or so to deal with Ezra, Ahsoka, and Mortis.
I was just gonna say Ahsoka, get her some kind of closure. Yeah. Speaking of closure, that's closure for now until the next part of season 4. Don't forget, we're on Patreon now, and we love when people support us.
Yeah, thanks guys who have. That's awesome. You'll be watching this before everybody else right now.
You are, yeah. So you can boast about it to all your friends and enemies.
Mostly your enemies.
You're standing in line at the coffee shop, turn around to that jerk who's always behind you. say, hey, did you watch I Rebel yet? And they're like, no, it doesn't go
And
up
it
till
turns
tomorrow.
out to be Andrew behind you.
Yeah. These are the luxuries that are afforded to those Patreon folks. So thank you very much for supporting. Please continue to do so. We love it. And we will see you in the new year. Next time you see us with this banner, you'll have seen The Last Jedi. Unless you're like weird and you watch it in like February or something. Force.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.